It's cold these days, but it's heartwarming to see all these stalwarts and listen to some great presentations today. I'll be presenting a case of peripheral IVL for common eye leak CTO. Professor N.N. Khanna sir has already told in detail about the merits of IVL for peripheral arterial disease. Uh, so this is my case. The patient was 59 years male. He was hypertensive, diabetic, presented 2 years back with the history of acute limb ischemia on right side. So was diagnosed as having acute right common iliac thrombosis. Patient underwent surgical embolectomy. Uh, was doing did fine for around 1.5 years. Then presented with intermittent claudications, right limb for 3 months, and the distance to claudications was less than 50 meters. So Fontaine 2B. So we did a Doppler study for this patient. It showed reduced velocities on the left side as well as very much reduced velocities and suspicion of total block in the right CT angiogram, which revealed around 40% stenosis, atherosclerotic narrowing of the infrarenal aorta. Left common iliac was around 50% occluded, and there was common total occlusion of the right common iliac. So these are the CT images. As is, you can see on this, there are huge chunks of calcium at the aortic bifurcation site and the common iliac site also. The common iliac is being it's reformed, not common iliac, but the external iliac is being reformed through collaterals from the left side. So we took up this patient for PTA. So this is the when we took up this patient for angiogram. So this was like it. So you can see there were multiple collaterals which were uh, filling up this vessel retrogradely. The good thing was that we had a anti-grade approach. So whenever things go right, it is much easier to work our way through. So we took a 7 French sheath in both the RT femorals, and we had a straight way. The measurements on CT were around 7 millimeters in the proximal portion of the common iliac and around 6 to 6.5 in the distal portion that was being reformed. We initially tried with a 035 Terumo wire, it won't cross. We upgraded to a PTCA wire, Whisper, didn't cross. Then we took a Fielder XT wire, and still we were not able to make it through. So we decided to give this wire support. So we took a 212 balloon, and with the help of this balloon support, we were able to cross into the aorta. So then the whole length of the occlusion was dilated with 2.5 into 15 mm semi-compliant balloon, but it did not result in much gain or flow in the vessel. Was then further dilated with 4 into 12 mm NC balloon. So these are the data. We had hoped that probably after that we will get some good flow, but it was not there. And in view of heavy calcium and a history of prior vascular intervention, surgical one, we had to think that this calcium needs to be broken. If it is there, probably even if we receive some acute success, I don't know what would be the long-term result for this patient. So we decided to subject this patient to peripheral IVL shockwave lithotripsy. As we say that one should take around 10% higher size of balloon for getting the optimal technique for IVL. So the distal size on CT was around 6.5. So we took a 6.5 by 60 mm peripheral IVL balloon. We inserted it, and as you can see in the second frame, that even when we had inflated the balloon to 4 atms, the middle portion was it was a tight stenosis because of calcium. The balloon was not opening up. So we gave this patient 25 pulses, 2 cycles. One can give a maximum of around 30 pulses in one cycle. This catheter has around 300 pulses. So with ongoing pulses, one can see that this balloon suddenly it inflated well enough. So that is well. where it helped. Probably if we would have not used it or have gone to other balloons, such good expansion, it would have been difficult to achieve. Another thing is that for achieving such expansions, generally when we go for high dilatation, there are chances of injury to the vessel and perforation, especially if there is a lot of calcium involved. Now, this is a sort of non-traumatic sort of thing. We just inflated at 4 atm and the shock wave did the rest of the part for this patient. So that is how it looked after the shock wave, and then we decided to put a balloon, so balloon mounted stent. This was a 8 into 40 balloon mounted stent, which was deployed from the ostia of the common iliac, and we could receive a very good result out of it. As you can see, that stent is well in the middle portion, it is slight under, otherwise it is well expanded at both the ends. So we decided to post dilate it, and after post dilatation, we proceeded because the CT as well as Doppler has shown reduced velocities on the left side also. And in CT, it was mentioned that left common iliac has somewhere around 50% of stenosis with some mild calcium. So we decided to give a try on the other side also with the same catheter. We had a lot of pulses remaining. Now this is the safety that one can go with these balloons, with the shock wave balloon, because it is essentially a non-traumatic procedure. As Dr. Khanna just said, it is hard on hard and soft on soft. So we decided it probably does not carry much risk to dilate the other side with this balloon. So we gave two pulses, 2 cycles of 20 pulses on the other side also. And this is the final result that we could achieve. Initially, there was a difference of around 50 mmHg in the aorta and the right side in mean pressures, and around 20 on the aorta and the left femoral. But post procedure, there was equalization of the aortic and the femoral mean pressures. So we could receive this wonderful result, all thanks to the shockwave. And as sir had already mentioned about the Disrupt PAD trials, trial 2 and the third one that has recently come up. And these trials have repeatedly, although the population is low, but the results that these trials have gone are phenomenal. And that is why even at around 12 months, the primary patency rate is much higher than that would have been without using this. So in Disrupt PAD 3 trial also, the procedure success has been much higher than PTA alone. So there is good treatment effect and there is good final angiographic outcomes also. So we all know that bed preparation is essential. And when there is heavy calcium, and it is difficult to prepare the bed in a good manner. And if there is so much of calcium, especially in those patients who have had earlier interventions for that artery, and you decide to put a stent in such patients or do a balloon dilatation, often your stent may be malapposed or it may be underexpanded, and that will result to abnormal hemodynamics at that patient point, and which will certainly going to compromise your long-term results. So take home message from this case as for me would be that shockwave IVL is an efficient method to fracture calcium and provide injury-free acute gain to the vessels, and it allows for a better stent deployment and expansion, leading to improved local hemodynamics, which may translate to lesser repeat procedures and better TLR rates in future. So thank you so much, and that's all I had to share in my brief experience of this IVL in peripheral.
Thank you so much, Dr. Raj Pratap. We'll have discussion after Dr. Rajiv Parak's talk.